An object is an instance of a class. You might define the class, or it might be defined in a library, like the string class that we've been using from the standard library. You define your own classes with the class keyword, and if you know how to do it in some other languages like Java or C#, you may believe you know how to do it in C++. You'll be mostly right. The first thing that trips up a lot of people with experience in other languages is there's a trailing semicolon. So it's class, and the name of the class, an open brace bracket, all of the definition of the class, close brace bracket, and then a semicolon after that last close bracket. A lot of people forget that one. And I mention it because it can cause some really weird error messages that happen on the line after where you define the class. As well, the inside of the class, you don't go line by line, this element is public, this element is private, this element is private, private, private. Instead, you have sort of a section. You say from here down it's public, and then you hit the private keyword, and from here down it's private. And if you don't say anything, the default is that it's private. C++ won't stop you from declaring public member variables, but you shouldn't. You should have private member variables and a mix of public and private functions depending on your design, your architecture, what they're used for. So functions that you're offering to other classes to use will be public, and those that are kind of your own convenience functions will generally be private. I've mentioned before that one of the hallmarks of C++ is that your classes and classes from libraries you're using really have the same rights, responsibilities, and abilities as the fundamental types. So you declare instances of employees or insurance policy or whatever your business objects are, just the same way that you declare instances of integers or any of the other fundamental types that we went through in the fundamental types module. When you want to use that object, chances are what you want to do is call some member function of the object, or possibly if you made a public variable, access a member variable of the object, and you would do that using a dot syntax. You've seen the scope resolution operator before, the double colons between the namespace std and the class name string, for example. It also is used for static member variables and static member functions, class name, : and then the element that you want to access. We're going to start simpler than that though, because before you can start to access member variables and functions of objects, we need to be clear about how to define a class, and that's where we need to start.